This'll do. Go, you're on.
Okay. So myself, I'm an agronomist, and I started my professional life in the 90s, in the 80s. I started with a company. I created a commercial company, and the objective was to promote legume seed such as pea, alfalfa, lupin, to replace imported soybean in animal feed. This was the real beginning. And in the area where we were, in the western part of France, traditionally people grew linseed, also flaxseed. I don't know, in Australia you say linseed, linseed?
I know they're
Okay.
the same.
So well, it was difficult economically because our sales were dependent of the price of imported soybean. But we noticed that French farmers, even when soybean was very low, very cheap, they continue using our mix of legume seed plus linseed, and then they said it's better for the health of the cows. It's in France, it's small farms with good relationship between animals and farmers. And in '95, we start the first serious scientific trial with two groups of cows, one receiving the usual diet with corn silage plus soybean, and the second group received also corn silage. It was in winter, but plus this mix of legume seed plus linseed. So we measured as we expected, a difference in the composition of the milk, less saturated fat, more omega-3, etc., but also an improvement in the fertility of the cow. And this was unexpected, especially because it's a multifactorial effect, fertility, and this was significant. So this was a start of something, because there was I never heard of the omega-3 and things like that, but somebody from the institute told me maybe the improvement of fertility is due to the balance in the prostaglandin, and in linseed it's like in grass you have omega-3, in corn and soybean you have mostly omega-6, so it creates an imbalance. And maybe balancing the omega-6 omega-3 ratio in the diet, you balance also the prostaglandin PGF2 and PGF3, so maybe it can improve fertility. So this was the beginning of something. Internet didn't exist, so I went to the university library. I read a lot of things. The first Nobel Prize on the omega-3, omega-6 and prostaglandin was in '82, so I read paper from these guys. And I realized that for a lot of people in the medical part, omega-3 was something like an additive, something you have to add in the diet to be in a better health. But for us, it was the fatty acid of the grass. So we saw that if cow go from traditional pasture to corn silage, you change also not only the diet of the cow, but also the diet of the men. It's the same for the laying hens, it's the same for the pigs, etc. And so in 1999, we did our first clinical trial. So we took pigs, chicken, hens, cows, etc., fed with linseed replacing soybean. And we give it to two groups of human volunteers, healthy volunteers, and we checked the blood samples from the people every 2 weeks. And so we published it. It was very interesting because most of the people take care of the omega-3 level in human diet. They say you must eat more fish, but fish doesn't synthesize omega-3. Fish is in a food chain very long, starting with algae. Algae is like grass; it synthesizes omega-3, but not the fishes, and there is no enough fish for everybody in the world. If you want to provide enough omega-3 from fish, to the world population, you need to take I think something like 15 more fishes from the ocean, which is absolutely impossible.
I
So
think it's also a bit like with the B12 argument out of meat, that people that are not eating meat have to use synthetic alternatives, and the body it actually makes the body crave more B12 because it can't synthesize the synthetic B12 in the same way. So
yeah, it's absolutely the same. If you type B12 on Google, you see a lot of drugs, pills, etc. for the vegetarian people. And B12 is also, the composition is good because B12 is produced when the cows are ruminating, chewing. So the levels in B12 in meat and milk is also related to the ways the cows are fed. Same for vitamin D3. D3 is synthesized by the animals with the sun. So if you keep the animals inside or outside, so we finish this trial. We say usually we say omega-3 is a good proof of concept. It's what they call today One Health. It's the health of the soil, the health of the plant, then the health of the animal connected with the health of the people. And so we discussed with these people from the research institute, with the medical doctor who was the investigator of the clinical trial. And we decided in 2000 to say, okay, it's a public health problem. It's also an environmental problem. Maybe the second thing I forgot in the first trial with the cows is that the cows that ate linseed, they produce the same amount of milk, but the amount of feed was significantly smaller. And somebody said maybe it's because they produce less methane. Because if you methane, yes, the greenhouse gas. So he said maybe we have something connecting not only the soil health. This was the really beginning of my professional life, taking care of the soil with protein seeds, but also maybe the climate change and the health of the planet with the health of the people. And this omega-3 was a kind of something you can measure from the plant to the animal, from the animal to man. And finally, I finished the presentation. In May, I became a doctor in biology, and my PhD work was about. I'm retired now from the profession, right? But I took all the job we did, all the trials we did. We did 7 clinical trials with people with diabetes, people with obesity, people with cardiovascular bed marker. And each trial, it was not the effect of omega-3 on men, it's the effect of the omega-3 eaten by a cow or hen on men, because it's not the effect on it's not for instance, we found positive effects, significant effect on cardiovascular markers, cholesterol, etc. We found significant effects on weight, significant effect on insulin resistance, but it's not connected with directly with omega-3. It's connected with the omega-6, omega-3 balance. It's connected with the CLA, for instance, which is
what is CLA? Sorry.
CLA is conjugated linoleic acid. It's a fatty acid from the milk, from the cow's milk, produced by cow when she eats omega-3. Okay. So it's not an effect, it's an effect on men of omega-3 eaten by the cow. It's
and your test, this is the one where you had was it 40 people that you were using, some on conventional, half on conventional, half on the regenerative diet, that you did the blood samples and they changed, their blood cells changed within 2 weeks? Is that the test you're talking about, or is that later?
This was the first clinical trial with the healthy volunteers. Then we did another one with somebody. When you make when you make a trial, you make a trial because you have a question and you want an answer. And
Yeah.
at the end, you have a half an answer and 10 new questions. So no, it's like, so somebody said, Pierre, you put linseed in the diet of the cow and then you measure the effect of the butter and cheese. What happens if people eat directly linseed? So we put linseed in bread and we make a trial. It works, but less because you don't have this improvement through the food chain. So this was the second one. Then we did something with people with diabetes, two groups. I don't remember. It's something like 2 times 40 volunteers during 3 months, and then we checked effects on insulin resistance, which is the key point for diabetes. Then we did the trial with the people with the cardiovascular markers, 3 groups of people, 6 weeks. And then we did the trial with obese volunteers. This was during 5 months. So during 3 months, everybody lose weight, 3 kilos. But
Wow.
after 5 months, but this was not due to the diet. It was only due in the 2 groups, control groups, they also lose 3 kilos because you're in a trial, you eat less. That's
Wow.
not biochemistry, that's
Right,
thermodynamics.
right, right, right. It's just food in and food out. I get it.
Yeah, but after 5 months, the people from the control group, they regain half of the weight they lose during the trial, and in the Bleu-Blanc-Coeur group, they regain only 10% or something like that. It was for 4 times less. It's not the lose of weight, it's the regain, because when you make a
You bound back.
hypocaloric diet, you lose weight, and after it's very easy to take this weight again. Okay, so that's the story. So we're based on science. We're a lot of a lot of paper in the scientific peer-reviewed press, and we created Bleu-Blanc-Coeur in 2000, and we continue to work on the vegetal part of the food chain, on salads, tomatoes, etc. To see if you have. I was writing yesterday to people who make that had a fantastic composition of milk, and it's people I know the way they produce grass, etc. And I say you can read I'll finish after this sentence. You can read as in an open book. When you look at the fatty acid profile of a milk, for instance, you see really what happened in the soil, because to have a lot, if you have a lot of omega-3 in the milk, it comes from the grass, and the quantity in grass is related to the health of the soil, because the synthesis of alpha-linolenic omega-3, of course, you need sun, you need
Water.
CO2, but you need also a lot of cofactors in the soil, small nutrients. And to have these small nutrients, you need to have a lot of organic matter in the soil. You need also to have a good pH, redox, etc., to provide this to the fungi and the roots of the plant.
Mhm.
I wrote them, and you can be very proud because your milk is very good, and you can read this analysis with pride, because it's because you're a very good farmer, because
Yeah.
the way you do in the pasture, etc., is very good. So we are based on the obligation of results. We say taking care of the soil, taking care of the animals. Each farmer has different soil, different animal, etc. But if you buy an egg in a supermarket, even an organic egg, and you analyze this, you have a ratio between omega-6 and omega-3. Sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 30, etc. 30 omega-6 for one omega-3. If your egg, a Bleu-Blanc egg, is maximum 5 omega-6 for one omega-3. So you can, if you're an egg producer, you can use grass, alfalfa, linseed, lupin, rapeseed, whatever you want. What I want, it's the composition of the egg, and this will be the signature of the way you feed your hens and you produce your feed.
So can I ask you, that's amazing that when the meat was cooked in your trial that you did, because omega-3 is very affected by heat and will break down and have, not good results. I was really interested to see that the people fed the correct balance of 3 and 6 omega oils in the meat when it was cooked, and they ate it, their own blood cells had changed, that it wasn't affected by being cooked. I mean, that was in itself revelationary to me, because it means it's much more about an energetic change than the scientific molecule of 3 and 6 being, like the way we take a pill. It's got so many omega oils. It's like, no, it's not about that. It's about how the whole food interacts together as it goes into your body, from the soil all the way through its process into you. That was the thing that was really amazing to me, because all of the health industry is pushing raw and pills and all this sort of stuff. And I've always said the most unprocessed, the closer you can get to the land, the more you can eat it in a really whole state, the more your body will absorb all the life energy that's coming through the plant and the animal into you. So that's really like a proof of that for me in what you did.
No, I agree. We were surprised with the first results. And I said before, we did a trial putting linseed directly in the bread. But when it comes through the food chain, it's, I don't remember, I think maybe 40% more omega-3 in the blood when it comes through the food chain. And it's so we did trials also to explain it. It's my sentence is small is beautiful. If you take a pill with a lot of omega-3,
I got it.
You use it like energy. You beta oxidize, and you use it as any fat. It will make ATP energy, and that's it. But if you have a small, well, this is not very scientific, but it's my explanation. When a hen produces an egg, it's for the survival of the species.
Yes.
She put the omega-3 at the right place. It's not, it's converted ALA to DHA, which is the most important omega-3. And she put it in the phospholipids of the egg yolk. Because it's very important for the new chicken. It's the same for the cow. She put with only small amount of omega-3 in the milk, but it's put in the triglyceride at the good place because the calf would use it. And when
bioavailability
is far better. And also, when you eat cheese, for instance, you have a small amount of omega-3 and you have a big amount of a short and medium saturated fat, which is used for energy. So it's the bioavailability, it's preserved, and bioavailability is far better.
It's like I've tried to look at the psychology of this for a long time, and because I've been pushing organic since '97. And tried to introduce it into the restaurants. I did all sorts of things, and we could just see it. They didn't care. People don't care about what they put in their mouth. I mean, obviously some do. Usually when they're sick or there's something bad happening, but mostly food is just this thing you do every day, 3 times a day or whatever it is, and you don't recognize every single mouthful as something you're changing yourself or you're making part of you, and this is not relevant. So I maybe it's because religion is gone, so we don't have prayers and we don't have valuing the work and everything, effort that went from the farm to the plate. I don't know what it is, but so many things have changed. So I think the carbon markets are the first thing I've seen. It's that I'm trying to see how to change the connection between humans and the land, because our survival is dependent on us understanding the importance of it. Australia has been, because we've got terrible soil here, and we're 2/3 desert, we have some of the most innovative farmers to survive. And so we're globally renowned for this innovation, yet very, pockets, individuals all over, not a collective. Like the French farmer is traditional and they're very strong with their viewpoints. They hold together as a collective, yeah. They resist change. They say this is the best way. Australian farmers don't do it. So it's very interesting cultural differences, and how do you move any one of them in a direction? So I think what you've done is so wonderful because it validates the small farmer, which is very common in France.
I think the key, I'm listening to you, and I think the key point for the success, let's say it's a success, is the obligation of results. When you go to farmer in France, everywhere in the world, and you say, I ask you to produce this way, they don't like it.
Yeah.
If you say this is the obligation of results, and we decide together that we need this composition for the milk, this composition for the salad, etc. After, do whatever you want. Of course, we have small obligation of means, but only small. They like it. They like it because they are part of the change, and they don't like people coming from Paris to say that's the way I ask you to produce.